We are studying from the introduction and page number 21. We are seeing how Srila Prabhupada is going through all the. No, we are reading chapter 1. What all struggle Prabhupada is going through when he is preaching in New York, and how his preaching is being built. All are helping Prabhupada. So all this we are already reading. Last time we read till this part, how Prabhupada was staying with David and we stay at Bauri. Now we will read it. We will continue to read from how Prabhupada meets Howard, and then Howard, Prabhupada is inviting. Howard, you please come to our programs. So just a recap. There was an article in the Village Voice in their local newspaper, and by seeing that article written by reporter Howard Smith, he had first heard of Swami by a phone call from a contact who had told him of an interesting holy man from India living in the loft of Bauri. And the reporter and Swamiji and that boy told him that you go there anytime, he is always there, and he is very fascinating. So in this way, the reporter tells that how Srila Prabhupada is approachable by everyone. Now, this is what Howard Smith says. Howard Smith says, so I went down there and went upstairs into this very funky artist's loft. Because you'll see it is a very old-fashioned, and everything is, the stairs and everything are very old style. In the back of the loft, I noticed a little curtain on an Indian Madras type of curtain, and so I decided I would peer into that area. I looked in, and there was Swami Bhaktivedanta sitting cross-legged in saffron garments, with the markings on his forehead and nose, and his hand in the bead bag. Even though he looked like a real thing, he seemed approachable, and I said, hello, and he looked up. I said, Swami Bhaktivedanta, and he said, yes. I said, I am Howard Smith. So, ଏଭଳି ସେମାନେ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କଲେ. ହାୱାର୍ଡ ସ୍ମିଥ ତାପରେ ରିକଲ୍ କରୁଛି ଯେ ପ୍ରଭାତକୁ ଏଭଳି ଦେଖିଲା, ସେମାନେ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ କରିପାରୁନଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏଇଟା ସତ ଭଳି ଲାଗୁଥିଲା, ଯଦିଓ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ବହୁତ ନୂଆ. ଟ୍ରୁ ଡିଭୋସନକୁ ସେ ଫିଲ୍ କରିପାରୁଥିଲା. Then we sat and talked, and I liked him a lot right away. I mean, I had met a lot of other Swamis, and I did not like them too much. I don't think it's fair to lump them all together and say those Swamis in India. ସେମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଏକାଠି ବସିକି କଥା ହେଲେ, ତ ସେ ଜାଣିପାରିଲା ଯେ ଇଏ ଅନ୍ୟ ସ୍ୱାମୀ ମାନଙ୍କ ଭଳି ନୁହଁ. ୟାକୁ ଏମିତି ଅନ୍ୟ ସ୍ୱାମୀ ମାନେ ତ ଭଲ ଲାଗନ୍ତିନି ହାୱାର୍ଡକୁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ସେ ବୁଝିପାରିଲା ଯେ ଇଏ ଅଲଗା. Because he was very, very basic, and that's what I seemed to like about him. He not only made me feel at ease, but he seemed very open and honest. Like he asked my advice on things. He was very new in the country. So Prabhupada बहुत माने बेसिक जिनसों पर चर्चा करते हैं, एमती नहीं बहुत तांगर फिलोसॉफी ज्ञान देखेबे समस्त. आउ Prabhupada समस्त को माने निजर भलिया फील करथले. Prabhupada समस्त को माने लागुथला इजी, माने टेक इट इजी जेमती कहू चाहे. माने टीचर जेमती हमको फील करंते आगो आइस ब्रेकर करे कि हमको ओपन अप करियो चाहती. सेथि में Prabhupada बहुत माने ओपन करूथले ता शिष्य मान आगे सबले. एटा केम जना पड़ता कारण प्रभुपाद मते शिष्य मैंने पचारे आम यहाँ जो कले क्लास जिनसा कहले ठीक थिला कारण मुझे जानची भक्तिचर महाराज कहते बहुत थर जे प्रभुपाद क्लास देके आसवे आ पचारे सो भक्तिचर हाउ इज द क्लास हाउ वाज द क्लास टुडे पचारे से तो ये जना पड़े जे मैंने प्रभुपाद एमती नहीं जे शिष्य को सजेशन पचार कथा ना तो पचारे प्रभुपाद इज वेरी ओपन and honest. I thought his ideas stood a good chance of taking hold because he seemed so practical. His head did not seem in the clouds. He wasn't talking mysticism every word, every third word. I guess that is where his soul was at, but that isn't where his normal conversational consciousness was at. तो प्रभुपाद को केते प्रैक्टिकल से सेठी कहूची जे प्रभुपाद कोनसी माने जादू तो ना करके एबडी कथावार्ता बाहर करता पटी सब फैक्ट गुडे प्रेजेंट कर देन ही सेड several people had told him the voice would be a very good place to be written up and that basically it would reach the kind of people who already perhaps had a leaning interest in what he was preaching. तो सेइतमे मन कहले जे विलेज वॉइस जो ताकर पेपरटा से न्यूज़पेपर आर्टिकलटा बाहरले बहुत भलो हबो. I said that I thought he was correct. He asked me if I had read any books or knew anything about Indian culture. And I said no, I did not really. We talked a little and he explained to me that he had these books in English that he had already translated in India. And he handed those to me and said, if you want more background, you can read this. तो से पचारे जे तुम इंडियन कल्चर ऊपर किछि पढिछ किछि जानिछ हम कहली मते आइडिया नै हाउ इट गोज तो प्रभुपाद तापर तांको बही गुडा देखिले इंग्लिश रे आ से कहले एडा मु ऑलरेडी ट्रांसलेट कर साइछ इंग्लिश रे तुमे एडा नियो आउ तो मुझे जानियार अछि प्रवेश ताले एटा पढा ओटा एबे रिसेंटली मोटे कन्वर्सेशन सुनुथिली प्रभुपाद कर प्रभुपाद कहले जे तुम कोन भाबुछ जदी मुई कृष्ण चेतना आंदोलन रो बही गुडी को हिंदी रे प्रेजेंट कर थांती बेसी फेमस ही थांते जल्दी फेमस ही थांते इंडिया रे बेसी लोक पढि पर थांते ना जेहेतु एटा इंग्लिश रे लिखिची सेथमे लोक माने एप्रिशिएट करछ बिकॉज़ इंडियन मानकर ओटे टेंडेंसी अछि जे माने वेस्ट को फॉलो करिवे हलसे फॉलो करिवे नै किंतु टिके टिके फॉलो करिवे पूरा पूरी फॉलो करले तो डेवलप्ड कंट्री हे जानते हैं तो अधा आदि फॉलो करिया जोगु हां तो जदी इंग्लिश रे करबी त समस्त एप्रिशिएट करिवे सतु से हला देखना इंडिया रे प्रभुपाद एते प्रीचिंग करियो ट्राई करले हला किंतु वेस्ट रे जाई की केते एप्रिशिएशन हला भगवत गीता इंडिया रे कोर्स बुक रे पढाउनी दुखर कथा किंतु अमेरिका एवं अन्य कंट्रीज रे भगवत गीता इज अ कोर्स बुक तांकर कोर्स वही एज इट इज हमर एटी सेक्युलरिज्म ना रे हमर भगवत गीता को कोर्स वही करा हो नै एज इट इज को कराई परिबनी केते प्रोफेसर सेमन सब एप्रिशिएट करछंदी किंतु इंडिया रे एटा होनी तो जेहेतु एटा प्रभुपाद इंग्लिश लेक्चर सेटमेंट से संभव हैला ना तो प्रभुपाद कहले इंग्लिश इज इंपोर्टेंट जदि एटा बाह्य रूप रे लेक्ष भाषा कह जाई पारे किंतु इट इज इंपोर्टेंट व्हाई बिकॉज़ इट इज ट्रांसमिटिंग कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस जदि ए भाषा रो कोनोसी सोर्स नाही होय तो भलो सोर्स नाही बा एटा ओटा लेक्ष मानकर भाषा किंतु जेहेतु एटा कृष्ण चेतना आंदोलन को स्प्रेड करिवारे सहायता करछि तो एटा को हमको सहायता नवा करता. It was obvious to me that I was not talking to some fellow who had just decided that he had seen God and was going to tell people about it. He seemed to be an educated man, much more than myself, actually. And I liked his humbleness. I just plain liked the guy. So both मैंने प्रभुपाद लाइक करछि बोली कहछि आ से जानि परछि जे ये भगवान को देखि छ आ देखि पारिबे. He explained everything I wanted to know. The significance, what he was wearing, the mark on his forehead, the bead bag, and I liked all his explanation. Everything was very practical. Then he talked about temples all over the world and he said, well, we have got a long way to go, but I am very patient. Prabhupada कहले हमको बहुत बाट हमको जीवार अछि आ किंतु हमको धैर्य धरिया पड़ियो. प्रभुपाद से जहाँ जहाँ क्वेश्चन पचारे सब प्रभुपाद आंसर दीजिए. आप सुनी से इंटरव्यूटा बहुत सुंदर इंटरव्यूटा अच्छी यूट्यूब रे 4 मिनिट्स रो से इंटरव्यू रे पचारे प्रभुपाद से पचारे कौन आपने तिलक लगे एटा कौन ड्रेस पिंचंती से इंटरव्यूटा में देखिया तो अच्छी. एटा तो
Welcome.
Thank you.
You founded the Hare Krishna movement some 7 years ago in 1967, did you not?
Yes.
In a capsule, what is the movement?
The movement is to awaken God consciousness of the human being. The human being is distinguished from the animals, that the animals cannot understand what is God.
Mm-hmm.
And if the human being also does not understand what is God, then he is animal.
I see. And so your movement is to bring about an understanding of God among human beings.
Yes.
And Hare Krishna means what?
Hare Krishna means addressing the energy of God. Hare means the energy of God, and Krishna means God.
Mm-hmm. Okay, you were here yesterday and to attend your annual festival that was held here in Golden Gate Park, and we were there too. And in fact, here it is. A few thousand people came out to hear it. How many people are now disciples of the Krishna consciousness movement?
Dedicated life, about 10,000.
About 10,000 dedicated
in
ones.
the Western world.
Mm-hmm. Your Grace, is there any significance at all in the shaved head? Why are heads shaved?
We keep ourselves very clean, that's all.
Oh, it's just a cleanliness thing?
Yes.
Is there any significance in the color of the robes?
At least at the present moment, people think that by keeping long hair, it becomes very beautiful.
I see.
Yes. So we are against it.
Mm-hmm. Just as simple as that. Is there any significance in the yellow robes?
Yellow robe is the dress, those who are dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It could very well have been a blue robe. It's just something that was arrived at.
This saffron.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Your Grace, why do you feel that so many people are pulling away from the traditional religions in this country, such as Christianity and so forth, and going for the trying to understand the Eastern religions? We hear a lot of swamis and gurus and other type of yogi and so forth. Why do you feel that people are pulling away from the traditional Christian standards here?
But we see that the Christian churches, especially I have seen in London, mostly closed. People are not interested, or the Christian leaders, they cannot make them interested.
Why? Did Christianity fail the people, which is why they're turning to other things? Or?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You say that Hare Krishna consciousness pretty much takes the absolute truths from the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and the Vedic.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Religion means to understand God.
I understand, but do you feel that in getting truths from various places like the Bible and the Quran and so forth, don't you run into conflicts at all or contradictions in those particular philosophies?
No, I don't find any conflict, because the ultimate goal is God. So you have to understand God and try to love Him. So you can go through any religious process. If the goal is attained, that you understand what is God, and you try to love Him, then your life is perfect.
Why do we see so many of your followers chanting almost all the time?
Chanting means to keep association with God always.
So you have to audibly chant Hare Krishna?
Yes. This is transcendental vibration. Just like a radio message. If you keep contact with the radio message, then you know everything what is going on outside. Similarly, this transcendental sound, Hare Krishna, if you chant, then you keep connection with God directly.
Thank you very much, Your Divine Grace. It's been our privilege to talk with you and to meet you.
Thank you.
And hope that we can see you again when you return.
Hare Krishna.
এইটা ওটা আছে ତ ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ ଥିଲା ପ୍ରଭାତଙ୍କର। ପ୍ରଭାତ ଏଭଳି ଯେତେ ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁରେ ପ୍ରଭାତଙ୍କର ବହୁତ ସୁନ୍ଦର କନଭରସେସନ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବା। Then Bhaktivedanta Swami had hope for what the Voice article had referred to as his American church. Prabhupada kହୁଛନ୍ତି ଏଇଟା ମୋର ଆମେରିକାର church. There was life in his lectures and kirtans, and at least he was acquiring a small regular following. But from India there was no. Prabhupada କହୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ପ୍ରଭାତ ମାନେ ଲେକ୍ଚର ହଉ କଥା ହଉ ସବୁଥିରେ ପ୍ରଭାତର ବହୁତ ମାନେ ହୋପ୍ ଦେଖାଯାଉଥିଲା, କିନ୍ତୁ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆର ପ୍ରଭାତ ଯେତେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲେ କିଛି ହେଲାନି। He had been regularly corresponding with Sumati Morarji, his god brothers, Indian central government, but their replies had not been encouraging. ବାରମ୍ବାର ପ୍ରଭାତ ତାଙ୍କ ଗୁରୁ ଭାଇ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଚିଠି ଲେଖୁଥିଲେ, ଆମର ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଅଫିସିଆଲ୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଚିଠି ଲେଖୁଥିଲେ, ସୁମତି ମୋରାରଜୀକୁ ଚିଠି ଲେଖୁଥିଲେ, କିନ୍ତୁ କୌଣସି ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ପ୍ରଭାତଙ୍କୁ କୌଣସି ହେଲ୍ପ ମିଳିନାହିଁ, ସେଇଭଳି କୌଣସି ଏନ୍ଥୁଜିଆଜମ କେହି ପ୍ରଦାନ କରୁନାହିଁ। If Krishna consciousness were ever to take hold in America, it would have to be without assistance from Indian government or Indian financiers. ପ୍ରଭାତ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଏଇ କୃଷ୍ଣ ଚେତନା ଆନ୍ଦୋଳନ ଯଦି କେବେ ଆମେରିକାରେ ଆସିବାର ଥିଲା ତ ଜାଣି ଶୁଣି ବୋଧେ ଭଗବାନଙ୍କ ପ୍ଲାନ୍ ସେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ କି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କର ପଇସାରେ ଏଇଟା ହେଇନି। Krishna was revealing his plan to Bhaktivedanta Swami in a different way. He would turn all his energy towards the young men and women coming to him in his Pauri loft. He wrote Sumati Morarji. Prabhupada ଏଭଳି କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ମାନେ କୃଷ୍ଣ ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ତାଙ୍କ ପ୍ଲାନ୍ ଟା ରିଭିଲ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି। ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ତ କେତେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କଲେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆର ବ୍ରିଜ କରିବାକୁ, ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରୁ କଲେକ୍ସନ କରିବାକୁ, ଇଣ୍ଡିଆର କିଛି ହେଲାନି, କିନ୍ତୁ ଏବେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଯୁବକ ମାନେ ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦଙ୍କୁ ବହୁତ ହେଲ୍ପ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଆଉ ବାଉରୀରେ ଆସିକି ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦଙ୍କ ସହିତ ଏତେ ସୁନ୍ଦର ଭାବରେ କନେକ୍ଟ ହେଇପାରୁଛନ୍ତି। ସୁମତି ମୋରାରଜୀ କୁ ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ଲେଖିଥିଲେ, କଣ ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି? I am now trying to incorporate one corporation, the local friends and admirers, under the name of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ସୁମତି ମୋରାରଜୀକୁ ଯେ ମୁଁ ଏବେ ଚାହୁଁଛି ଏଟାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ସୋସାଇଟିର ନାଁ ଦେବି, ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ସୋସାଇଟି ଫର କୃଷ୍ଣ କନସିୟସନେସ୍, ଏଭଳି ନାଁରେ ଆକୁ ରେଜିଷ୍ଟର କରିବି ବୋଲି ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ସୁମତି ମୋରାରଜୀକୁ କହୁଛନ୍ତି। Of all his friends and admirers, Bhaktivedanta Swami gave his roommate David Allen the most personal attention and training. ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ଯୋଉ ପିଲାଟା ସହିତ ରହୁଥିଲେ ତ ତାକୁ ବେଶୀ ଟାଇମ୍ ଦଉଥିଲେ, ଟ୍ରେନିଂ ମଧ୍ୟ ଦଉଥିଲେ। ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ କହୁଥିଲେ he also felt that he was giving David a special chance to become America's first genuine Vaishnava. ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ମଧ୍ୟ ଭାବୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ତାକୁ ମୁଁ ପ୍ରଥମେ ଚାନ୍ସ ଦଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ଶୁଦ୍ଧ ବୈଷ୍ଣବ ହବ। Bhaktivedanta Swami would eventually return to India and he wanted to take David to Vrindavan. ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ତାପରେ ଭାବିଥିଲେ ମୁଁ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ଯିବି ଏବଂ ଡେଭିଡକୁ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ନେଇକି ଯିବି, ତାକୁ ମୁଁ ଏଇ ଭଗବାନଙ୍କର ବିଗ୍ରହ ସେବା ଏବଂ ପ୍ରଚାରରେ ଏକ୍ସପର୍ଟ କରିଦେବି, ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ଏମିତି କହୁଛନ୍ତି। I am very glad to say Bhaktivedanta Swami said one evening in his lecture that our Mr. David says sometimes, Swamiji, I want to increase my spiritual life immediately. ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ମତେ ବହୁତ ଉତ୍ସାହ ଲାଗେ ଶୁଣିବାକୁ ଯେ ଆମ ଡେଭିଡ ଆମକୁ କୁହନ୍ତି ବେଳେ ବେଳେ ଯେ ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ମୁଁ ବହୁତ ଜଲ୍ଦି ଶୀଘ୍ର ଭକ୍ତିରେ ଅଗ୍ରଗତି କରିବାକୁ ଚାହେଁ। ତ ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ହସନ୍ତି ଏବଂ କହନ୍ତି ଧୈର୍ଯ୍ୟ ଧର ଏଭଳି ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ କହନ୍ତି ବୋଲି କହୁଛନ୍ତି। I tell him it will be done, of course. ଏଟା ହବ, ନିଶ୍ଚୟ ହବ। ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମର ଏଭଳି ତୀବ୍ର ଇଚ୍ଛା ରହିଛି ଭଗବାନ ତମକୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରିବେ, କାରଣ ଭଗବାନ ତମ ଅନ୍ତରରେ ରହିଛନ୍ତି। He is simply trying to see how sincere you are. Then he will give you all opportunities to increase your spiritual life. ଯେତେବେଳେ ପ୍ରଭୁପାଦ ମାନେ କୃଷ୍ଣ ଦେଖିବେ ଯେ ଆମେ କେତେ ସିନସିୟର ହଉଛେ तो कृष्ण हमको समस्त साहाय्य प्रदान करिए. At first, David and the Swami lived together peacefully in the large hall. The Swami working concentratedly on his side of the partition, David ranging throughout the large open space. David, however, insisted to take marijuana, LSD, and amphetamines, and the Swami had no chance but to tolerate. प्रथम तो हॉल रे दी भाग करी एपटे गोटे पटे प्रभुपाद गोटे पटे डेविड रोची किंतु बारंबार से खाली माने फोर्स कला प्रभुपाद को तमें नियो आ सी निजे भी नवा स्टार्ट कला मैरिजुआना ए सब ड्रग्स नवा स्टार्ट कला तो प्रभुपाद बाध्य होई ताऊ टॉलरेट कले तो बहुत थर प्रभुपाद माने देखिले आ कहिले जे डेविड ए सब रे पसनी एटा तुमको आध्यात्मिक दिगरे अग्रगति कर साहाय्य करिवेन किंतु डेविड कोन तो ता मुंडरे बसथिला से भली करि चलला तो ये भली से बहुत माने बिहेव स्ट्रेंज माने बहुत आश्चर्यजनक भाबे भली प्रभुपाद सहित डीलिंग करला. Bhaktivedanta Swami, however, had a plan to use a loft as a temple to transform it into New York's first temple of Radha Krishna, and he wanted David's cooperation. किंतु प्रभुपाद को इच्छा थिला जे से जो जगटा सेटा को प्रथम मंदिर भाबरे एस्टैब्लिश करिवे न्यूयॉर्क रो प्रथम मंदिर हो तो डेविड रो सहयोग मजे चाहथिले किंतु ऑल्दो द नेबरहुड वाज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट मिजरेबल इन द वर्ल्ड Bhaktivedanta Swami talked of bringing deities from Jaipur or Vrindavan and start temple worship even on the Bowery. He thought David might help. After all, they were roommates. So there could be no question of David's not cooperating, but he would have to give up his bad habits. तापर प्रभुपाद गोटे टाइम रे भाबिले जे मु जयपुर की राजस्थान रो कि वृंदावन रो विग्रह आनिबा आनी कि मु एठी स्थापन करिवि आ डेविड जे तुम रूममेट तो निश्चय से मते सहयोग करियो आ तारो बैड हैबिट्स मते छाड़ दो. Bhaktivedanta Swami was trying to help David, but David was too disturbed. He was headed for disaster, and so were Bhaktivedanta Swami's plans for the loft. किंतु डेविड टा बहुत माने पागल हो चलसला सी जमा प्रभुपाद सहित ए लॉफ्ट रे आधा रहिया को जागा दउ नसला केबे केबे even sometimes even not the influence of a drug David would pace around the loft drug no नेकी भी बेले बेले दौड़िबो ता रूम भीतर and other time he appeared to be a deep in thought बेले बेले भाबियो बसी घंटा. One day on dose of LSD he went completely crazy. थरे गोटे LSD ड्रग खाई की ड्रग इंजेक्शन नहीं की बहुत पागल है पागल में देखेला. One of the Swami's visitor Carl Jürgens put it. He Carl Jürgens प्रभुपाद को जे जने आस्थिले स्टूडेंट आसंती जे से कहउछन केमति कला कार्य. He just flipped out and the Swami had to deal with the crazy man. Things had leading up to this. He was a crazy kid who always took much, but the real madness happened suddenly. तबरे हठात किना से ओटे पागलामी एवली धरि बसला. Bhaktivedanta Swami was working peacefully at his typewriter when David freaked out. David started moaning and pacing around. तो जेतोल प्रॉपर ट्रांसलेशन करूछंती तो डेविड से समरे आसी एवली चिल्लेला आ प्रॉपर देखि ताको करूछंती द इवनिंग now but the large open area of the loft he began yelling howling and running all around तो चिल्लौथिला माने चिल्ले चिल्ले की से एवली बुलीला से जगह रे. He went back to where Swami was and suddenly Bhaktivedanta Swami found himself face to face not with David. Nice David. प्रभुपाद एवली तापरे डेविड सहित फेस टू फेस हेले आ ए डेविड ता सेही भली डेविड न जेमति आगुर थिला जहाँ को से इंडिया ने कि ब्राह्मण बनै थाते भक्त बनै थाते वृंदावन रे से नु ये गोटे माने नसीला गोटे माने पागला लोक थिला. तो भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी तापर कहउछन व्हाट इज द मैटर कोन हैला. But David has nothing to say. There is no particular disagreement, just madness. तो ये वाले ये पागल है तो ये भली भाबरे प्रभुपाद तापरे तळगु जाई की ताको जिंस पत्र सब धरी की बाहरिया को डिसाइड कर देले से जगह जो प्रभुपाद रहउतले बावरी. There had been no time to consider anything. He had taken quite a shock, and now he was leaving the arena of David's madness. The usual group of bums was sitting in the doorway and were customary flourish of courtesy. They allowed him to pass. तो लोक मान जो नशा करके पढ़ी था रोड पर सेमती पढ़ी किंतु प्रभुपाद गला बाट देखु. They were used to elderly swamis coming and out. जानते प्रभुपाद जी आसवे से बाट देखी जो शॉपिंग करती फेरती आउ से किसी हैरान कले प्रभुपाद. बट ही वाज नॉट गोइंग शॉपिंग दिस डे. प्रभुपाद किंतु आज शॉपिंग पे जाने प्रभुपाद एठू फेरी जाउछन जाउछंती के जानना. He had come into the street without knowing where he would go. तापर प्रभुपाद बावरी रो बाहरी आसी बोली स्ट्रीट रे बुलचंती आ जानना कुआडे जी. तो तापर कोठी प्रभुपाद जीपे तन प्रभुपाद तो सेठी फेरिबेनी डेबिट तो रखिबेनी ता तबे कोठी जीबे आ केमिति रहिबे. तो एटा हमें नेक्स्ट पॉइंट पढ़िबे. जय जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. हरे कृष्णा. किसी ऐड करिबो कानु प्रभु रोजी माता जी.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी भाव बहीटा जल्दी जल्दी पढ़ेबार अच्छे शुणिला इंटरेस्टिंग लगे पढ़ेबार अच्छे.
हाँ एटा बढ़िया दरकार. काली आमे पुरी जाइथिलु. आमे जलनेश भक्ति महाराज को भेटिलु. महाराज कहते जे जगन्नाथ को तो रियल ग्लोरी जगन्नाथंकर प्रभुपाद स्प्रेड करछन्ते ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड है ना. किंतु सेही प्रभुपाद विग्रह से माने जो रथ यात्रा इश्यू को नहीं की जली थिले पुरी रे. केते दुर्भाग्य से. तो आमर भारतवासी मानकर जेंति कर्तव्य जे कृष्ण चैतन्य आंदोलन चैतन्य महाप्रभु का शिक्षा केम सारा जगत रे प्रचार करिबा. तो सेमती आमर ओडिशावासी या कर्तव्य जे केमती प्रभुपाद को आमर माने रियल जगन्नाथंकर गोटे भक्त रूप में प्रचार करिया. लोकों को यह संदेश दबा जे प्रभुपाद वास्तव में जगन्नाथंकर प्रिय भक्त. लोक मैंने एनवी एवं विभिन्न कारण ये भावुन जे प्रभुपाद अलग गोटे सोसाइटी कर. प्रभुपाद से वैष्णव सोसाइटी कर जगन्नाथ को ही एस्टाब्लिश कर. किंतु कौन से कारण लोक मैंने भावुन आमर यहाँ कर्तव्य ओडिशावासी केमती प्रभुपाद ग्लोरी आम पुणी आउे एस्टाब्लिश कर.
आज्ञा प्रभु जी. कहीं एते माने कट्टरपंथी हो जाउछन लोक के जानी.
हां अनर्थ थोड़ा तो भरी.
आज्ञा आउ तो कोनोसी संस्था एमती नाही जोथरे कि माने एते सब शास्त्र ज्ञान सब मिलुची प्रभु जी. एते बुक्स एते पाठ पढ़ा एते सुंदर सेवा एते नीट एंड क्लीनलीनेस ये सब जिंस आउ को मंदिर रे देखा को मिलुची कि प्रभु जी. से जिंस के बुझु नांते कहले उल्टा उल्टा कहबे ताठू भलो चुप रही जिबा. निज संस्था विषय किसी खराब सुनिबा अपेक्षा माने न सुनिबा ही भलो भलिया रहिबा को पडुची.
से कोन करिए.
हां आज्ञा प्रभु जी.
हां ठीक है चले
प्रभु जी आज ब्रह्म संहिता क्लास हो कि नहीं प्रभु जी.
हां बे हो.
आज्ञा प्रभु जी.
हरे कृष्णा. जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. गौर भक्त
जय.